base as in, well, it doesn't matter right now. We got our runners off and running. We got Bob going to Flash, and we got Siberian Bull going to Air. So for those that are unfamiliar with how the randomizer is set for this tournament, first and foremost, we have our stage selection names off, so they will not be knowing which stage they're going to go into until we actually go to the stage themselves. As for the rule set, this is 100% zipless, so we're gonna hopefully see no kinds of zips whatsoever, lest they be penalized for trying to successfully do so. So we're gonna have ourselves an interesting match, and we already see things interesting in Airman stage, where we got some very annoying crabs falling from the skies.
And don't forget about some Thunder Gods as we go across the big platform of, well, we don't actually have to take the Thunder God platforms. We can just walk across as both runners falling to the next portions of their levels.
Kind of a little bit of a scary situation. The first half of Airmen we had crabs, and now we got Metroids. And knowing the Metroids, we got a shotman that just picked off Siberian Bull, taking on straight down to a pit. So right back to the midpoint and starting the whole second half over as Bob is about to approach Flashman's room.
I thought called Tomatoes. I may be mixing up my series. In any event, who's actually going to be in Flashman's arena? It's Woodman.
So we're going to see how Woodman acts. One of the things about the randomizer is that enemy AI, boss AI is randomized as far as their attack and movement patterns. We got some very slow moving leaf shields and falling leaves, but Bobdedbuilder was able to take care of Woodman very quickly, and he's pretty much has an automatic advantage and finds item 1 along the way. One of the things that is randomized is where the items are going to be placed. So having item 1 very early is going to be very good for Bob as he goes throughout this mystery as we know as Mega Man 2 Rando.
While Siberian Bull is dealing with Heatman, who, unable to Psycho Crusher as quickly as usual, but this may work to our advantage.
A little bit of a slow burn, kind of one of the more annoying kinds, because he's kind of hard to jump over, and to make matters worse, he's not Buster secondary weak, so Siberian Bull is going to have to deal with literally a slow burn as he finally picks off, there we go, finally picks off Heatman, and is about to go on to his next Robot Master.
Neither Woodman nor Heatman had the stronger Buster weakness, but maybe once we get past this hot dog over here, we'll find the next Robot Master. Oh, both of them going into the forest.
Bobdedbuilder's getting gotta watch that. Once again, this is zipless. Bob was kind of flirting around with a potential zip, so we gotta watch that. That probably would have been probably around 5 seconds, so just gotta keep an eye out on something like that.
Well, something else to keep an eye on, even though we took out Woodman, we effectively got a Metal Blade on our hands.
Yeah, the weapons we get from each Robot Master is going to be randomized throughout the entire randomization process, so whatever boss we get, we have no clue what weapon we're going to get. Like, from Woodman, we actually did get Leaf Shield. Kind of a vanilla process, but hey, if the C wants it, I ain't gonna complain.
Neither am I, especially with the fast launching leaf shooting action that we get here.
And it looks like, yep, it's inverted. One of the things about the Leaf Shield, as far as its randomization properties, as all weapons does have a bit of a randomized property, it moves independently, and it also has reverse mechanics, so we know that horizontally it definitely is inverted movement, but we do not know if it's going to be reversed vertically yet. But we'll find out as Bobdedbuilder is about to go to the wood door, seeing some Buster Immune shrimp along the way.
Well, here's hoping that we have something a little bit more shrimpy on the other side. Oh, that's where Airman moved to. And, nah, we are not going to use the, leaf shield here.
Bob wisely using the E-Tank as, yep, that definitely would have killed him. The Airman does quite a lot of body damage. Also wasn't secondary weak to the Buster, but still was pretty much of a bro enough that he's able to just take him out very quickly. And Siberian Bull about to meet the same thing, but unlike Bob, he doesn't have an E-tank in his arsenal.
And, oh, that is not a good tornado pattern, as Bob is now in Crashman stage, where we already have some boomerang throwers, along with good old-fashioned, I want to say they're tellies, the floating, hovering creatures, but I
That is correct.
Okay, I thought I was mixing up my games here.
Well, of course, I didn't quite get to see who was the first character, the first set of enemies that were along the way. I'm pretty sure one of them was at least a hermit crab, and Siberian Bull follows suit and takes out Airman. The thing is, Bob, you have item 1. You got item 1 in Flashman stage. You kind of should be using that, as it definitely would speed up the process of going through these moving platform areas. But fortunately, there is no bad enemy set here, so he's pretty much safe to move along at his current pace. But it could be a little faster if he uses item 1.
While Siberian Bull right now going through, I keep on forgetting if this is the Mega Man 9 Endless Mode or Fake Man stage, but definitely going through unique area, complete with moles and conveyors, and copter stompers.
That would be Fake Man's theme. The special stage of Mega Man 9, which is titled Overdrive Scramble. But yeah, we got Siberian Bull going to the second half of Metal Man stage, while Bob is going through the second half of Crash, seeing how the climb works. But Siberian Bull is dealing with a little bit of an annoying enemy set. Once again, we got crabs and prop tops just littered all over the place, hoping to slow him down.
And we also have SpeedGaming sending their viewers over. Welcome, everyone. We have just started this best-of-3 matchup between SiberianBull9 and Bobdedbuilder for the Mega Man 2 Randomizer tournament.
Bob's taking the chance going back onto the right side, but gets promptly sniped by our favorite 2 pacemakers, and gonna try to do it again. And it looks like the leaf shield is pure vertical, both horizontally and vertically, as we see Quickman in Metal Man's room.
With a conveyor belt, I don't trust this setup.
There could be worse setups, especially since Quickman is one of our Buster secondary weak enemy bosses. To those that aren't familiar, as we find Item 3 in the process, there are 4 Robot Masters that have a secondary weakness to Buster, and since this is easy mode for the sake of accommodation for newer runners that are especially in this tournament today, we're playing on easy, which doubles the damage, so it makes the Buster a pretty hot commodity as Bob faces Metal Man in Crash Man's room.
Some slow-going metal blades. And the bubbles will not work.
Looks like Buster is another good to go item for Metal, as he's just getting completely shredded by it. So we got Crash stage down. Do we have another item? No, we do not. So we know where item 3 and item 1 is. Item 2 is still out in play, and they hope to at least find it to save a little bit of time, at least for Heatman stage, which is another trouble area in the rando. But for right now, that's still at large, while Bob is starting his run of Bubbleman stage, as SiberianBull9 is going through these moving platform rooms.
Bob dealing with ball balancers and pokies, trying to get to the underwater session. Hi there, fans. I can't even see where Bob is on this screen. Oh, there's the screen transition.
That is your Mega Man 2 sprite flicker at work, Wolfman. It's not surprising. Like, when you see a group of enemies, it's almost like running through a patch of thick fog, except the thick fog is basically making your enemies and yourself disappear.
Speaking of thick, are we suddenly going through some burnt tomato bisque soup over here?
I would rather say something else that looks a little brown color, but that would not be proper for speed gaming, so we're just gonna ignore that.
We're sticking with tomato bisque.
Very well then. So this is why ziplets is important as Bob takes the spike to the dome. Normally in zips, you'll probably see at least some pause buffering, as you'll probably normally would see some zips going through a lot of Bubble Man stage, and just ignore this cluster of seafood delight and some sniper zones on the way. But since we are in a zipless format, this is why Bubble Man can be a little bit more of a dangerous stage to run through. Dealing with the spikes and the enemies, this could just make Bubble Man one of the most annoying stages to go through, even though it's just a straight horizontal walk.
Also, something I noticed on Siberian Bull's side, they had picked up the Time Stopper, but it operates like the Flash Stopper today. You know, the one from Mega Man 4?
Yeah, so the thing about the Time Stopper here is it has a couple of randomized traits. So as Bull takes on Metal Man himself, the Time Stopper can actually work like his vanilla counterpart and drains down the weapon gauge steadily, but its speed is randomized. But you also get cases as Siberian goes to Quickman. It kind of goes like the Mega Man 4 Flash Stopper counterpart, where the time duration of the flash is randomized, but also the amount of ammo used per flash, as we got a vanilla Bubble Man in his room, that could be random as well. So the Time Stopper is a pretty interesting weapon as far as randomized traits.
Alright, Bubble Man showing some resiliency, and then as soon as I say that, looks like Bubble is weak to Bubble.
You get a lot of those where the weaknesses are actually on themselves, and we do find item 2. So pretty much we're secure on movement as well. Speaking of the devil, I was just about to talk about you, Heat Man. So with item 2, the Yoku blocks, which are not randomized, level design, stage layouts are not randomized except for certain cases. But yeah, with item 2 in hand, Bob pretty much has a pretty safe advantage and can ignore the Yoku blocks as he traverses the rest of Heatman stage.
While Siberian Bull dealing with the quick beams, fortunately you can do the same movements just about every time, and you should be able to survive every single time. But even subtle changes can sometimes throw you off and then get you conked back to the middle.
Fortunately, that's no longer the case. One of the things that used to be randomized were the quick beam speeds. So fortunately, that's been changed up to this point, and everything is pretty much static. So we find Flashman in Quickman's room, in a little bit of a speedy boy, but a bit of a high jumper as well, as Siberian Bull does the Metal Blade juggle on him.
Wait a second, you can do that?
Yes, you can.
That's news to me.
Speaking of things that are metal, we seem to have our Pyrobots in the second half of Heatman stage. Bob, I was wondering if Bob's gonna try to check this. I think he's gonna check for the wall weakness. One of the things that are randomized in Mega Man 2 Rando are the crash walls. They might not be quick to crash. They can be of any kind of weakness. And for right now, it looked like it definitely was an error or bubble. And I'm pretty safe to assume it's not weak to Buster as well.
And I think Bob is saying enough is enough for that right now, as Siberian Bull is going through... Okay, I know this is a Mega Man X style tune I'm hearing on the commentary feed, but I can't, at least it sounds like, but I can't remember which one it is.
That will be Launch Octopus for Mega Man X.
This stage is not exactly much of a drip, so... Oh well, we adapt.
Well, you kind of have to in the Mega Man 2 Rando, and Bob making good use of that item to just ignoring everything to do with the Yoku blocks. Even though the Yoku blocks are the same patterns, you still don't want to deal with them. It's slow. Get item 2 hopefully in your arsenal and just skip them.
Well, fortunately, I do believe Siberian Bull will get item 2, or item 1 from here. And, oh, hi Crashman, I was wondering when you'd be here. Now, do we have your weakness?
Yeah, Bob is doing the item dig, the weakness dig. And it looked like wait, I think we might have a secondary weakness for air for Crash. Well, I thought Siberian Bull might have found a secondary weakness in air for wood, but it doesn't look like it was working all that well for him. But he's still able to take out Woodman and Flash, and he should be getting his item 1, which I think his item 1, and he's moving on.
I was surprised that Siberian Bull got through that because that was technically a double KO, but apparently double KOs go to the player.
Yeah, I think he just barely managed to eke it out without even needing the double. Well, was it a double KO?
It was. Both health bars were 0.
Then yes, very lucky on Bull's end because of that fact. As we pretty much go doing some stage swapping, we got Siberian Bull going to Heatman with Bob going to Quick. And with some fitting music along the way, this is some Blaze Heatniks from X6. So we got ourselves some matching themery here. Fire theme with a fire stage.
Yeah, but this is the better game. Yeah, I know. Someone is going to boo-hiss me for that.
Yeah, there will be some people to disagree with that statement, but I'm not gonna touch that.
Fair enough. Bob approaching the Quick Beam Gauntlet dealing with the Chang Keymakers. I hope I said that right.
That is correct.
Down we go. Okay, when I said down we go, I didn't mean down into the pit, Bull. I'm sorry.
I don't believe in commentator curses. I believe in runners actually taking responsibility for their own actions. And sometimes you gotta take responsibilities for lag, just extending your knockback times and falling into a pit as a consequence.
Whatever it ended up happening, it looks like Siberian is now trying to investigate the wall. How did that balancer go over the pit like that?
Do not ask questions in which there are no answers.
Okay, Quick Boomerang is the wall weakness, but it takes a lot of them.
So Siberian Bull does have some information that Bob does not. So that can help Siberian Bull move a little bit faster along the way as we have Bob actually fighting Flash.
And trying to use the Atomic Fire, not getting good hits in.
Yeah, we look like we're doing the weakness shuffle, and look like we find ourselves a secondary weakness in Leaf Shield. Wisely taking the E-Tank so we can just get this match done and get out of here.
Now, I am looking at the tracker information up at the top. Shoutouts to our tracker, by the way. But I'm trying to remember which stages remaining actually have E-Tanks. I believe Metal Man has 2 available, Airman none. Well, we're heading to Metal Man, so that'll help, but once we clear out the stages, if we end up using all of our E-Tanks, what is the normal recourse for our runners?
Pray and hope you don't die.
For some reason, I was expecting a different answer than that.
Well, nothing is certain in Randomizer. If you have no E-Tanks, you just better hope that your skill can handle yourself accordingly, especially if you're at low health. Otherwise, especially with the randomization for weaknesses, if you're a weakness hunter like I usually am, you just better hope that your skills can carry you and you're able to dodge long enough. And even if you do find the weakness, hope you can stay alive long enough to make those hits and wind up beating the boss so you can get out of such a precarious situation.
Speaking of precarious, Bull going through the fans, not a problem, and... Okay, maybe there are slightly different, palettes on both of our runners, but I know this is the same seed. That looks more like Tomato Beast soup.
Yeah, you know, like RBG modded consoles, you got emulator uses for some people. Palettes is a weird thing with the NES.
Yeah, it'll be the same palette, but it may display a different color anyway, or a different shade.
Shoutouts to Comment Send Tracker with a little bit of commentary. It says, I appreciate you. Now back to the kitchen with you. I'm kidding.
As I said earlier, shoutouts to Kame for making sure everything is accurate up at the top. Now both of our runners are going to, I believe, get their final items. However, Bob does have one extra stage to go through.
Yes, Siberian Bull has at least a Robot Master lead on him, but anything can happen. We still got quite a bit of Mega Man 2 Randomizer to go, which does, of course, include the Wily stages, as we got quite a number of boomerangs on Quickman's end, as Bob is struggling a little bit to fell Quickman, which he eventually does.
And that Buster weakness on Bubble also works.
Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, after we get our item 2 from Siberian Bull, we are gonna be graced with the greatest and best eyebrows in video game history as we approach Dr. Wily's castle, which, for those that are familiar with the Mega Man 2 Randomizer, you know what that means. Everybody, time to take a guess. The Mecha Dragon, it has a randomized color. It's time for you to guess what that color is. And as always, for extra credit, guess that weakness as well. Wolfman, as my esteemed guest and colleague, why don't you have the first guess?
Barney the Dinosaur colors, weakness to Leaf Shield.
As an apology to Kame sent for forcing him to go back to the tracking kitchen, I'm gonna go with the True Blue combo, Blue Dragon, and the Buster weakness.
Oh, my guess.
We're just on the same mindset.
Same wavelength. Which means we're both wrong.
Probably.
Alright, we are approaching, if we haven't already, past the first, and I know in the vanilla game it's the only checkpoint. Did the randomizer ever add a checkpoint before the Mecha Dragon?
Nope, all checkpoints are the same, so if any death after the checkpoint, especially in boss fights in the Wily stages, you will be sent back to the midpoint of the said Wily stage. As yes, Bobdedbuilder unfortunately takes another fall in what's a very annoying enemy set. Once again, we got a Metroid, our M544 and our Shotman. Just, yeah, not the best enemy placements for air.
Bull suffered a little bit earlier with the Metroid / Tomatoes. Now it's Bob's turn. And for those that like to play their guessing games, I must apologize. Your time is up. We have entered the arena.
In a few seconds, you're about to see which one of us is right, and the majority of us who are going to be absolutely and horribly wrong.
Alright, primary colors today are...
Dang.
Vanilla.
That is a classic-looking dragon. Whole lot of green.
Well, we have at least one person in chat going green. Now the question is, what's the weakness?
Well, we know metal is a weakness, and Siberian Bull is gonna use it to full effect as he takes out the Mega Dragon and goes on to Wily 2.
Alright, so I see some greens, I see some metals, I don't see both.
Bob finds a secondary weakness in Crash for Heatman as we slowly take him out. Take a little bit of a nick, almost getting himself killed, but he's going to be following suit and going to Wily 1 as Siberian Bull, as mentioned before, takes his trip to Wily 2.
As we, yet again, go through some Mega Man X-style music.
Mars Sponge X2. Well, actually, specifically, that'd probably be the Extreme 2 arrangement. It's a little faster tempo in the Extreme 2 arrangement, but that's splitting hairs.
Come on, Bat. Don't block our way like that. You're not even hanging on the ceiling. Gotta enjoy the enemy placements here.
So we got Siberian Bull just a few screens away from the Pico battle. The thing about the weaknesses but speaking about the Picos in particular, the Picos have 3 weaknesses. A potential 4th if it is Buster. So Buster will always be probably about a 50-50 for each boss. Either they are or they aren't. Otherwise, there are a number of weaknesses for some of them, and Pico has 3 weaknesses. We're gonna see if we can find one of the 3 here, and it's not starting good with not Metal nor Crash.
And not Buster.
Oh my goodness, we found ourselves a goodie. The one-shot leash shield where all you gotta do is just stand around and doing nothing.
Well, as long as, you know, the blocks don't form from under you, and as long as they don't form next to you to remove the shield prematurely, but yeah, effectively we can become Luigi in this battle.
I was about to go there, glad I didn't. You saved me a lot of grief.
How so? It's a common reference.
I know.
Alright, Bull is through, Bob approaching the dragon.
So Wally 3, as the Mega Man X themes continue with some Storm Eagle, Wally 3 is a stage where you probably don't want to sleep on it. Hopefully we get a good enemy set, but if... There we go, we do indeed have a good enemy set. But if you get enemy set like moles or fat fans, they can make this area much more complicated than it should be. But other than that, it was pretty much a straight walk. Another thing that you probably would notice is the splash animation is kind of glitched. Bob finding metal as well on his Mega Dragon fight. But continuing on, the splash graphic also can be a little bit of a preview of the enemies that could be stretched along the area. The splash screen glitch showed batons, and of course along that initial stretch we saw some bats along the way. So that's some knowledge that a player with a keen eye will actually take some grasp on.
And I thought I just saw Metul go through a wall, as we have a big guts dozer coming from the other wall that we can't see.
We know it's not weak to Buster, but we got ourselves a vanilla weakness in Quick Boomerang.
We will take it. and yes, the Met is disqualified for zipping. Not that zipping to the left ever gets us anywhere.
Yeah, Wally 3 Mets act a little funny. Don't know why, but it is what it is. You can still just ignore it, even though it's completely invincible.
Alright, Wily 4, I did do some research on this stage, and I have to at least ask one thing. Why is it that when we approach the part where the bubbles normally tell us where the hidden floor is, you know, how come the hidden floor changes each seed?
Because in a couple of screens where the fake floors are, specifically the one where SpeedRun9 is about to go to and the screen afterwards, the floors that are fake are actually randomized. So we have no idea which floor is fake. Not only that, because of the bubble lid, it also has a bit of a randomized attribute as well. So bubbles might not actually be as dependable in figuring out which hole is where. So that's a bit of a double trouble for those entering to Wally 4. But Siberian Bull, with his items in hand, was able to just ignore all of it as he comes to our anxiety rooms. We could call the Great Equalizer, the Great Educator, and we're going to be educated with some Chanky Makers in these sets.
Ooh, the lag, the sprite flickering, the slowdown. Oh, this is gonna hurt. I mean, yes, iframes as well, but the room below is not going to be very friendly, as Bob has found another weakness, Air Shooter.
So that's wood and air for 2 of the 3 weaknesses. Probably would stick with wood, but having a one-shot air is actually pretty good for this fight, even though you're probably going to be draining all your energy to do so.
Oh yeah, definitely draining all the energy. It's 1-to-1.
Siberian Boy using item 2 to fly across the 2 moving platform routes on his way, just inching towards Boo Beam. So the thing about Boo Beam is, we know what the crash walls be to, and that's Quick Boomerang. That is not going to be the weakness for the Boo Beams. The Boo Beam weakness cannot be the same as the crash weakness. Not only that, the Boo Beam still has one singular weakness. That's something that Siberian Bull is going to have to dig for. It looks like she's going to start with one of our potential god weaknesses, the Metal Blade, and I think we find a god weakness.
Yep. So hopefully this means it's not a lot of walls to destroy.
You don't have to destroy any walls with this. Yeah, one good item one, which is really lengthy and finally disappears. But yeah, now all you gotta do is just jump over a few areas and not a wall will be destroyed.
And thus we will no longer be a part of the wrecking crew. However, we will be a part of the Demolition Derby. It's time to take out the 8 Robot Masters again.
And the X series themes continue as we got Infinity Magenian as our boss rush theme for the entire refights. One of the great things about the randomizer, not necessarily quality of life, but just something fun. In the spirit of some ROM hacks that does this, you are going to be hearing the stage theme throughout the entire refights. No interruption with the boss music whatsoever, just combat music throughout. And Siberian Bull begins his second Robot Master, trying to do the Metal Blade juggle on Flash. There we go. Wait, kind of having a little bit of issue with that juggle.
Maybe it has to do with the wall type or something? I admit, I'm not as well versed with the mechanics of Mega Man 2 here. Oh! Jumped over the health and then got grabbed by the teleporter, was forced to use an E-Tank.
Looks like we found our second weakness for the Gust Tank as Bob finds Bubble as opposed to finding Quick, which Siberian Bull did. So Bob wound up using the alternate means, but it still reaches the same result as he begins his ascent towards Wally 4.
And Bull taking out H. Bison over here, and is successful using Crash Bombs.
Bob is reaching the halfway point, just gotta take care of Metal Man right quick, and he'll be 4 Robot Masters down, and indeed is about halfway done towards his refights. Pretty much has this particular race in the bag. It's pretty much all on him for the rest of the matchups.
Causing some minor problems, but gets through. Bob using item 2 to jet across instead. And now Bubble Man, don't know where your spikes went, but you kinda needed them. See ya!
It didn't work when he had him. It's gonna be worse without him.
Now, Quick Man without the conveyor belt. Still, dangerous if you ask me.
Especially when he's a speedy boy, reminiscent of his name, and yes, widely use the E-Tank. Any hit from the boomerang or the body shot would have killed Siberian Bull, but he has plenty of E-Tanks. This should be, the rest of the stage should be pretty much a ROM. The only thing we don't know is if the Wally Machine, which is upcoming, is going to be Buster Weak or Buster Immune. We're about to find that out in about a few seconds.
Ting, the Wily Machine Mark II. I believe it is anyway. And it's Buster Weak.
And since it's Buster Weak for the first phase, it stands to follow, according to the randomizer, it is weak on the second phase. So thank goodness it's Buster, otherwise you're going to be doing some serious weakness hunting. As Bob decides to take a little bit of safety and does the item 2 a little bit later before moving on towards the rest of the moving platform screens, that Bob begins his little run towards Victory Road as we're about to see what the alien's gonna have in store for us.
But first, while this is a zipless tournament, it doesn't mean we can't take advantage of some game mechanics. Follow all the way to the right here in this vertical section, and you get to run past all these acid drops because they're on some sort of timer that normally coincides with when you run under them, not when you run past them.
Alright, Bob's about to go face Blue Beam. Hopefully his fight's gonna be clean, but more importantly, we're about to see what alien we're gonna have. What colors we're gonna have, what weakness we're gonna have. We're about to find out right now.
Alright, it transforms into green head, orange suit, and we already have a weakness, it's metal.
The page 2 gauntlet making quick work for Siberian Bull 9, and Siberian Bull beats Bobdedbuilder on our first matchup with an official SRL time of 34 minutes and 31 seconds. GG's to Siberian Bull.
Game 1 in the books. Bob's still playing on. Kudos to him for doing so.
Yeah, Bob is an experienced runner here. I'm pretty sure as long as nothing gets too crazy, I'm pretty sure he'll still be able to finish out his seeds.
Starting with Airman, we can defeat him. So let's move on to the next one. Looks like Bob is going in the reverse order of Siberian here.
It's the classic question of clockwise versus counterclockwise. Bob is on team counterclockwise.
Well, this time Clockwise won.
Well, in all fairness, Siberian Bull had the lead to actually justify his clockwise choice.
Also a fair point.
Using Bubbles against Bubble, making short work of him as he goes to crash. Gonna see if he finds a weakness, or was it Buster secondary weak? No, that's right, he also found the weakness in Air as a secondary weakness. So Air should be able to take him out very swiftly, and there he goes.
Fortunately, we don't need Air Shooter for the final bosses, but I still was not a big fan of that energy consumption of Air Shooter. Now, Metal Man? Easy with Buster. Just gotta watch out for the barrage, and there you go.
And next up is our slow burn heat.
Yes, H-Bison, as I'm starting to call him now.
Starting to look for weaknesses. The Heatman is one of those enemies that you definitely want to find a weakness to if it's not Buster secondary weak. His fights are extremely long and extremely taxing. So the sooner you can find a weakness, the faster you can just get that fight over with and just be gone, just like Bob did right now as he goes against his 7th Robot Master, which is Flash.
Vanilla weakness on Heatman today. And uh-oh, Bob is out of metal.
Sorry, Flash does not work. At least in this fight. For those that are unfamiliar with the randomizer, as Bob takes the unfortunate fall, the time stopper will work only and only for one Robot Master. It will not be weak to any other Robot Master. It will not be weak to any other Wily bosses. It's only one. But you also got to be careful about accidental Flash use, because like in Vanilla Mega Man 2, there are scenarios where you can actually heal a boss with Flash.
By the way, on Siberian Bull's side, there's the weakness table.
One of the great additions that the original creator Duckfist has added to the randomizer. Shoutouts to Duckfist as always.
And Bubble was the last one. At least when it came to the Pico Pico enemies. Bob now taking out Woodman, able to shoot through the leaf shield to get those buster shots in, which is nice, but if I saw Bob's inventory, Bob's down to 1 life.
But he should be fine. Like we already know, the machine is Buster weak, and with some careful movement and careful shooting, this should be a very easy fight for Bob.
It's not this fight I'm worried about. Bob does not have metal energy.
That is true. Without that energy, we do know that the alien is weak to the metal blades. He's probably going to take the gamble and just hope that metal is not the weakness. Unfortunately, we know it is. And if he doesn't go and check and refill that energy, which looks like he's not, he's going to be in for a rough one.
So here comes a question regarding mechanics. If I recall correctly, in the vanilla game, if you get a game over, you can continue on at least the stage you're on and have all your weapon energy refilled. Does that apply on the rando?
Yes, it does. But in addition, normally whenever your game over, you'll also lose your E-tanks. One of the best quality of life additions to the randomizer is that on game over, you will keep your E-tanks as well. So game overing could be a valid strategy at some points, just to refill on ammo and still keep your E-tanks to boot. So that's something to think about depending on how you want to play the randomizer. As Bob begins his futile dig to find out that he does not have the weakness that we already know.
At least the atomic fire fires a little bit quicker. I think it actually skipped a charge phase. And now, I'm sorry, Bob. Bob realizes.
What? And there's the game over. But here's the thing. He actually could have still kept going. One of the mechanics that still could have held true for this is that he probably could have paused every time he fired a metal blade to still keep that one unit of energy intact. It definitely would have been slower, but he definitely still would have had the metal blade amount to kill the alien. But it's not really common knowledge and not often used. So I'm not surprised that Bob wasn't able to realize that and just decided to just game over and refill his weapon energy. But of course, now that he does have full energy, it's time to say goodbye to an alien.
Just aim true. Watch out for the shots. Keep on selecting through the menu. And there we go. That is time. Official SRL time. 40 minutes, 59 seconds.
GG's to both our runners, but that still gives siberianbull9 the early edge 1-0 in our first match, which is a best of 3. So we're gonna have ourselves a brief intermission for a little bit. But for me, I like to talk and like observe things that happened during the matchup. So Wolfman, what were you able to observe as we saw both our runners go through our first match at the current moment? What was your analysis?
Well, the enemy placements in Airman stage got both of our runners at least once, which, you know, it happens when you're going across perilous pits. There's not much you can do. Both of our runners also took different stage orders, and in this case, it may have worked to Siberian's advantage with his order, despite having item 1 arrive later. So, ultimately, sometimes it just matters which stage you choose.
Yeah, that's one of the things that you're gonna have to realize about the randomizer. Order will matter a bit, especially with no stage names. So realizing and getting a good route, well, not necessarily a route, but hopefully getting a good stage order will definitely benefit you. It definitely benefited early on for Bob when he had item 2 and he was able to have that early enough to make heat stays a little more trivial. But having a good sense of knowing what's what along the way will go a long way in just making sure that you have an easy time during the randomizer.
Indeed. Alright, it looks like both of our runners are already set to journey through Dreamland. I am seriously liking all of these different cosmetic changes, even though they make no difference whatsoever.
Yeah, that's one, like I said, one of the things we like to say about the randomizer is that it's easier to say what's not randomized as opposed to what is, because Duckfizz pretty much just he went to great detail in figuring out what to randomize.
Alright, runners are actually wanting to take off early, so give it about another 45 seconds or so on our end, and then we'll get to see which stages we have to worry about, what enemies will give us some problems, and of course, which music will we get to rock to.
Yes, indeed. Match 2 of our best of 3 is underway. The SRL countdown is going on, so we just gotta wait for that stream to catch up to us so we can do all the things that Wolfman said.
So, for those that haven't yet, get your hydration ready. We're in for a good one.
I should have got myself some hydration, but I'm just gonna have to do with my own internal hydration methods.
We'll get you hooked up with an E-Tank mug one day. Don't you worry.
A man can dream.
Alright. I have no clue how to pronounce that seed name, but I don't think it's gonna matter. We're off!